talking about college, it's very rare for a person to go and teach in a college where you have studied. So that feeling is different. The same class where you were sitting as a student, going there and taking lectures, and probably you will be looking for another Karanisa sitting there. Uh, it could happen. So, how exciting was it?
Something else, which is becoming the colleague of your teacher.
Yes.
Which is a very difficult thing. Yeah. So, what did you ask? How did I?
Yeah. How exciting it is.
Exciting, yeah. Because I remember when Sister Alice, she was the principal when I was studying there, and she asked people, she asked for our ambition and so on. And I don't know what got into me. I said, I would like to work in this college. I don't know whether, vaguely in my subconscious I wanted to do that. And she was very happy about it. And after that, I went on to teach in Holy Angels for some time, which is also my school. But I studied in the SSLC section, and this was the ICSE section. These students, if I can give Prabha Nair the credit for making me a writer, I would give that first batch of my students in Holy Angels ICSE, the 9th and 10th standards students, for having inspired me to become a teacher. Because they were really bright. They were excellent students. At the same time, they were not goody types, goody two shoes kind of thing. They were bright, they were mischievous, I enjoyed teaching. And they also enjoyed the classes. Even now we are in touch. And I thought, my goodness, if teaching literature is so much fun, I want to do that all the time. So I decided I will teach. And then I applied when there was a vacancy in All Saints. Of course, I had some teachers whom I really loved who were teaching there, and I wanted to get back there to be with them. Though some people might think, how can you be, because the relationship changes. Earlier you are a teacher, you are a student, the person, the teacher, you look up to them, you one or two, you even hero worship. And then after that you go there, it's a little tense, it's a little worried how I should be. And then my head of the department, first thing she told me was, you must put up your hair, she said. Because in those days, the students also wore saris. And so she said, and I was just out of college, so she said, you could get mistaken for a student, so they'll shove you around, so you must put your hair up. So that was number one. And then she said, look, once we are all equal. You are a teacher, everyone is a teacher. So you will be given your job, you must do it well. But I cannot forget the fact that these teachers were my teachers. So I always referred to them as, I still had that same, they are my teachers, I am their student kind of thing. And looked up to them because I learnt a lot from them. I learnt about taking your job seriously, about especially one or two teachers, they used to make the classes very interesting. So I would think, if I sat there and drank in those classes, I should return that. There's something that I need to give back. So I should make an effort to see that happens when I take class. So take a lot of trouble over that. And it was actually a joy to teach in the college where you studied. I don't know whether people, there may be some people who don't want to come back to their college at all. But for me, it was always wanting to get back there. And then when I got this job, it was a temporary job where when somebody's maternity vacancy, and that's how I came in. And I got a job as management trainee in Punjab National Bank. And that was a dilemma. Now again, it's a question of following your passion. What do you do? I wanted a very good job. I wanted to be independent. This job in All Saints was a temporary job. So, and you know how an officer's job in the bank, there are some jobs which from the outside look wonderful. The services, IAS, and so everyone was saying, you are getting this job, you have to take it. And I didn't want to, it's a bank job and I have to give this up, but nobody is giving me an assurance this job would become permanent. So I resigned from All Saints. that was something I did. I actually resigned from All Saints and I joined the bank. And I don't regret that for two things. One, when I was in the bank, I realized this is not my forte. So I understood for sure it is teaching. I wanted to get back to teaching and so on. But I met a lot of wonderful people, and I knew how the bank works. It's very nice, a different thing altogether. Because when you're in training, it's not like you are in the seat and totally responsible. And very often when it's foreign exchange training, I learned nothing when I was in Delhi for foreign exchange training. All that they would make me do was to find out the exchange rates of dollar, pound, yen, Deutschmark. With that, our work is over. So all we did was have a nice time, the few of us trainees. And loans was also like that. Then there was this village rural training, enjoyed all those. But one part of me was telling me, this is not for you, this is not for you, you have to get back to teaching. And then the permanent posting came in Bangalore. I requested a transfer to Trivandrum. I came here. And then the real responsibility of a bank job and the tedium of the bank job and how it is pretty mechanical. It's not something that I liked. If I liked, it was okay. But I also learned a lot about investment, finances, saving. All those things were very useful for me. And then, All Saints again, they were getting the PG department. So they asked for teachers. I applied again. And I got the job. Again, a dilemma. How can you leave an officer's job and go to teach when you're going to get 1/3 the salary? In those days, teachers were paid very poorly. 1/3 the salary you're getting in the bank, because people are looking only at the salary. They don't look at the passion, the love, how you want to do a job, nothing. So I said, no, I'll manage. I will live within my means. One more resignation. Resigned from the bank and went to the college. And I was there till I retired. Then throughout it was wonderful. I really enjoyed being in the college, and somehow I felt, in a small way at least, I could give back what the school and the college, the same order, they have given me. Because if I am what I am now, I would give all the credit to to my teachers, to the nuns in the convent. They made me love English. They are the ones who introduced me to books. Their education, all that helped me become what I am. So in my small way, if I can give back, then that gives me a huge amount of satisfaction.
If you look at your students, would you be looking forward to writers or people passionate about what they do? Because somewhere down the line, when you look back, you have been following passion. You wanted to become a teacher. You became a teacher. You found out that banking is not for you. Then you went back again, became a teacher. So what makes a person passionate towards is inherent to him. So it depends from person to person. It's different. But at the same time, would you look forward to people becoming writers or teachers?
Among my students, I would say many of them have become teachers. It's a girls' college, and you know that for girls, one of those safe options is teaching. Almost all of them end up becoming teachers. So whether they are following their passion or not, I do not know. It is a means of livelihood. So it's a kind of a path for them. They do their BA, then they go for PG, then they go for BEd, because there was a time when there was this pre-degree delinking, and there were no vacancies in college for a long time. I think for 15 years it was blocked. So all these very bright students, they went to teach in schools, which is fine. Schools also needed, +2 was there, and they were doing very well. But they would have made wonderful college teachers. But those gates were closed for them, and they were going on. So about following the passion of becoming writers, what I find is, along with everyone goes for teaching because they need a living. But almost everyone wants to write. You find so many people wanting to become writers. So if I find someone writing really well, I'd be very happy, very proud. But I wouldn't want someone to write just because they like the idea of having a book in their name, kind of self-publishing. I feel that they must set high standards for themselves. It's very important that their language is sound. If your language is not sound, how can you write? If you're making grammar mistakes when you write, how do you think you can get a book published? It is audacious to think that you can write like this and get yourself published. So, and they get themselves published because there are options for publishing books on their own. So I was never, when I was teaching, I was never looking for people who would ultimately become writers or anything, but I always encourage those who could write well. By when it is exam, or I would always make it a point to write remarks on the side about their language. If it is good, I will tell them it's good, so it encourages. Again, I go by what happened to me, because that's the best example, because I know that when teachers have put that remark, I was so encouraged. I wanted to do better in that subject, and I realized that it would work the same way for students. So only if they deserve it. I wouldn't just write to encourage them. When they deserve that, I would write. So, but quite a few of my students are writing now. They are doing very well also. So that also makes me very happy and proud that these people, I don't think they would have been inspired by me in any way, because my writing was very, they did not even know I was writing. It was happening on the side. It was very quietly happening, because these stories, nobody even knew about this, that I was writing these stories in Tinkle. The column they knew, or they did not know. Then after that I was writing for the Hindu. That was also happening. But those were all things that kind of got lost in my general desire to teach. So these children also, and I never used to talk about my writing in classes at all. And in 2010, How's That Butterfingers came out, my first book. So that was when I was working. So that's the first that this was happening. So 2 books came out when I was teaching, but I would never talk about it. I just kept it again kind of under wraps, because it was always teaching, and it is that relationship, student, teacher, literature, books, and so on, that was working for me.
If you look at literature, an integral part of literature was poetry. But now, what you see, poetry and prose, somewhere they have started walking hand in hand. And somewhere poetry, we don't find anymore iambic tetrameter or pentameter. We don't have rhyming schemes. We just have someone just talking something, and they call it poetry and so-called poetry. So, do you really think literature today is moving in the right path? Or should we harp on to the old system of having a rhyme and reason for why you write poetry?
See, any literature, if it is to be alive, has to keep changing and evolving. It is imperative that that happens. But what you say is true about poetry. But first of all, let me tell you that I'm not a poetry person. I would, in fact, when people give me their poems, I will say, please, I am a very prosaic person. I don't write poetry. The only 3 poems I have written were, again, under compulsion in college, when we have those competitions, poetry competition, and sister will say, you have to join. So you join and you write something. But like you say, you want it to rhyme, first line with the third line, try to bring in, because we have learned theoretically something about poetry, prosody and so on, iambic pentameter, and what is stressed, what is not stressed, all that is there. But I'm not, I can recognize, I can understand, I can feel what is good poetry, but I cannot write poetry. But I know what is good poetry. Instinctively, I will know. I still remember how that lovely line in Duchess of Malfi, cover her eyes, cover her face, mine eyes dazzle, she died young. It's such a lovely line. And when I read that, I was just reading it and I told myself, this is such a lovely line. And later, lots of people, critics have spoken about that line as being very special. So I felt good that I was able to recognize that. I cannot write even 2 words in that line, but it's there. So what you find now, and then there came this kind of, So you find poetry changing. And then you have Walt Whitman and others who believe that there is no need for rhyme. You have free verse coming. Then that kind of got vulgarized, you could say, into just anything. Lines just written like prose, and then you just chop them, and then you just put them one below the other. You have one long line, one short line, another long line. I mean, anything. I would say you can write anything goes. Also poetry. It became that bad, and that made poets of everybody. You find anyone, if you ask someone, they will say, I write poetry. In class also, if I ask, do you write? Most of them will say they write poetry. Why they should think it is easy is what I cannot understand, because I know it's very difficult. To be a good poet, you need so much of inspiration, practice, command over so much, discipline. All that is very necessary to write a good poem. And here are people saying, I like poetry, I'm writing poetry. You find all churning out books of poetry. Very few write good poetry. Seriously. So, I don't know, when you ask whether literature is moving in the right direction, I would say there are still people who write very good poetry. There's Anupama Verma who writes very good poetry. There are a few people who really write very good poetry, but there are also a lot of poetasters and people who write anything and believe that they have written poetry. So if they want to write like that, who are we to tell them to write or not to write, or which way literature is going? Because when you look at prose also, you find there's a kind of a dilution of standards. People, maybe because of SMSs and the present language, they're not giving importance to good language. They don't care, because there came into being something that believed, if you are intelligible, it is all right. They do that. They say there are lots of people who say, why not? We have understood what is being said. That's all that is necessary. It's the same way in which earlier we used to have the RP, received pronunciation, which was considered the standard. We had something which we call standard English. You have the BBC, everybody is speaking in a particular way. All that is gone, because they believe that anything should be allowed. If you have a group which has this accent, doesn't matter, you should allow it. So that kind of democratization I don't approve of. Maybe you can put me in the old school, but I seriously don't like it, because I think everything needs there's a particular standard, whether it is prose, whether it is poetry. So what I would say is that literature is going everything is getting diluted, and I'm not too happy. Of course, there are very good writers also, so many. So that's why I don't want to generalize. So I wouldn't make any comments about where it is going. Let it go wherever it's going. After that, everything, there is a process, and one will lead to the other. Then we will go back. It will all come back. Everything is cyclic. So let's wait and see.
For that matter, I'm very happy that we could have this chat, getting to know what a writer thinks, what a teacher thinks, and when both come together. If I have to ask for one idea which should go out to those who are watching you, because I'm sure many of your students would be really excited to see you and excited to hear you say what they want to hear, what would be that identifying factor in one's heart that, yes, I want to write, or I am a writer?
You want me to say whether I am a writer or I want to write?
How can a person identify that he or she is a writer?
Okay. How can you identify you're a writer? I would say that you can identify a writer if you are able to empathize with what you are writing about, and if you have something important to say. but and important can be defined in many different ways. Yeah.
I would really thank you for the time. Looking forward to more Butterfingers, more butter chicken eating crocodiles, Baby and Dub Dub, and all those.
It's a very different book.
Yeah. So looking forward to more writing. Looking forward to more messages which you say like are inside your stories. And really, thank you, ma'am, for the time you've given us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this lovely conversation with you, and it's such a pleasure being with you. Thank you very much.